The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms a community that sees all things new. I'm Coach Celia Jacob, streaming to you live from Southwood City. Good evening. You're watching This is Brews and Beyond, Season 1, Episode 8. And we're back. Thank you for joining me again for this Saturday at Business Brews and Beyond. So a little something about me. I'm Coach Celia Jacob, a former overseas Filipino worker turned digital entrepreneur, branding strategist, and a passion to profit coach. I help people define their grind and amplify their brand. So what's Business Brews and Beyond? BBB or Business Brews and Beyond is all about empowering creatives, entrepreneurs, freelancers, and everyday people to define their grind and upgrade. Our goal is to create a ripple effect of kindness and support through the power of connection and collaboration. So I hope you stick around because I know you will be inspired by our guest for today. Two guests for today. They will talk about transition, growing your business, and inspiring everyone not just to survive but to thrive. Okay? So, first, how's everyone? How's everyone doing? Yung mga anak natin na pwede na lumabas, pag-ingatan pa din. So please, even if the alert level is parang ibinaba na, ingat pa rin tayo. Alam ko marami dyan magtatakbuhan na sa IKEA. No? Pero just the same, yun, I know na everyone wants to go out with their kids and all, pero yeah, just be safe. Okay, so if you're watching, please share our link so that we can inspire more people who wants to brew new business ideas and yeah, para matuto naman sila ng mga new tips and tricks of the trade, no? Kasi yan yung mga yan yung idea natin to gather para mga tips from the experts. So, yeah, connect with our guests later online and let me introduce to you my first guest. Okay? My first guest is a 17-year advertising veteran who has worked for an ad agency in Barcelona, KL, Manila, and New York. He's currently the CEO of Skills Simplified, an international training and speaking company based in New York, as well as the executive creative director for Nicheplay Advertising. He's an entrepreneur and an international speaker who has spoken in 77 US cities and 25 states, as well as China, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Singapore, and Malaysia. He's an avid traveler, and I'm proud to say one of the best mentors I have met in this lifetime. Honest yan. It is my privilege to introduce the unapologetic dude himself, an inspirepreneur, and a very good friend, Mr. Francis Miranda, streaming live from Boston, Massachusetts. Hi, Francis!
Hello. Good evening to you guys there in the Philippines.
Yan. Good morning to you there. It's very early in the morning to you, Francis. Thank you for joining us.
No, always a pleasure, always an honor to be here. Always an honor to be with you.
Thank you. For those of you who's been wondering, sino yung lagi kong rene-reference pag sinasabi kong libreng ka ba, or there are something about a business, a quote na sinasabi ko, he's the guy.
Kaya pala minsan nakakagat ko dila ko.
Francis, you've inspired so many people, including me, when you're here in the Philippines, and I really hope that, yeah, Jan, wherever you are right now, going around different cities sa US, mas marami kang i-inspire. So, anyway, Francis, tell us about what's happening now with you. Define us your grind, and yeah, give us a glimpse of what's happening with Mr. Francis Miranda. Go ahead, Francis.
So, the biggest thing that's been happening here is that we opened our US office for Skills Simplified. So, Skills Simplified is an e-learning and training company. So, what we do is we offer seminars, we offer live webinars, we offer speakers. So, we have a bureau of speakers and trainers that, when corporate clients want to hire speakers and trainers, we're available for them. So, we put up a New York office. So I was just in New York 2 days ago to open the office and meet our sales team that's based in New York. So it's a very exciting time. We're bringing Filipino speakers here to the United States, but in the same vein, we're bringing US speakers also to the world. So we have both US and Philippine-based speakers. You can visit us at skills-simplified.com. So if you're interested in getting one of our speakers or trainers, that's the place to be. So that's what I've been busy with, is really setting up the business, really building the products, creating the different training products that we have. And it's a very exciting time. Exciting, exhausting, all of it combined, exhilarating. There you go.
Yeah, pero winner pa rin, ano? Kasi at the end of the day, andyan ka na eh. Before kasi when I was following your transition from the Philippines, you have a very, very successful career here in the Philippines. Everybody was like, every time there's a talk, I think I started sponsoring some events.
Yes.
And sobrang thankful ako. Sabi ko, I never thought na ang dami ko matututunan just by sponsoring an event. And from that point on, talagang sobrang tuloy-tuloy na ako. So, now that you've transitioned, ano yung mga, ano ba yung difference sa setting up a business there in the US and yung setting up here in the Philippines? And what are the challenges that you encountered?
Okay, well, first things first, setting up a business here is remarkably easy. Like on the legal side, everything is online. So you want to get your tax identification number for your business. You want to register your business. Everything is done online. And you get the answer like a few seconds later. Like if you register for a name, you get the name registration just like a few seconds after you click submit. You know what I mean? So It's so easy. But there are also challenges to it. Challenges in setting up a business in another country is navigating the business culture in that country. So the way Americans do business is completely different from the way Filipinos do business. So here, people are more straightforward, people are more transactional, whereas in the Philippines, we're all about relationship. We're super big about relationship, right? So
Pakisama.
So pakisama. Most of the business connections we have are brought about by friends, are brought about by people who refer us. Here, it's all about, okay, you have a few minutes to present to us. So make the most out of that. I want to find out what you can do for me. That's the mindset. And again, people are always so busy. So getting somebody to even be in the room with you, that's already difficult. And imagine even getting a Zoom meeting is already difficult. What more when it's a live meeting? You have to go through so many gatekeepers. You have to go through their assistants who will tell you, oh, they're not available on this day. The next available schedule is 2 months from now.
Oh, wow.
And you got to work with that. So those are the things that you need to adjust and learn to. The other thing that we have to learn and adjust to is how do we continue to inject the Filipino-ness of the company? Because one of the things that we wanted when we created Skills Simplified was that it is an international company, but it's based on Filipino values. So that means that we hire people who are not necessarily Filipinos, but then we have to imbibe with them certain Filipino values that we are looking for in the staff that we hire. So these are some of the challenges that we're facing here. So, but like what I said, it's like just like with any business, which I'm sure you can attest to. There's a lot of learning involved. There's a lot of learning from mistakes involved. We've had mistakes in our business model when we initially launched. We had to redesign our website. We had to learn so many things about doing business in the Philippines. So those are some of the things that make a difference here.
Yeah, I remember before, no, the event that I was sponsoring is Let's Get Down to Business. And
Mm,
yeah, and then marketing on a budget. Those are the things that you are parang helping, budding Filipino entrepreneurs that time. Lalo na ako kasi I've been in the business for a very long time, but I got so many valuable insights from you. There naman in US, what are the things that you teach or you give as a workshop? What are the things that di ba you're always going around? What
yeah.
are the things that you're teaching in US?
So like currently, I do a lot of social media training. I do a lot
Mm,
of design classes. I do leadership classes. So these are the bread and butter. These are the ones that people hire you regularly, right?
yeah.
But we're also developing products for what they call diversity training, which is very big here. So we have diversity training programs. We're developing improv comedy leadership and
Oh,
decision
wow.
making classes. So we're developing culture classes, especially corporate culture. Why? Because one important thing to note here in the United States is that they're suffering. The corporate world is suffering what they call the Great Resignation. And what's the Great Resignation? It's that people are quitting their jobs and people don't want to work for companies. And there's a manpower shortage, despite the fact there's a high level of unemployment. Why? Because people begin to realize that they can actually earn more money doing stuff on their own, or people are not willing to tolerate crap jobs or crap salary. So
Yeah.
so there's a great resignation, and one of the things that we're teaching companies here is the importance of taking care of your people. It goes beyond just simply because the United States, as we all know, it's very profit oriented. So majority of the companies, they operate always on profit and productivity, which means that we will sacrifice everything on the altar of productivity, even the personal lives of people. But one of the
Oh,
things that we want to teach people here in the United States is that it goes back to the Filipino-ness. It's not the best way for you to earn profit is to take care of your people. That's a
yes.
different mindset altogether. So we're developing HR courses on developing precisely that people culture, that people first culture. Because if you want to address and want to prevent this great resignation from happening to your company, then you've got to look first into how are you treating your people. Do you allow your people to have downtime, for example, or do you force them to work Monday to Sunday? And when we mean force them to work, it doesn't mean that they're in the office. Is that even on their weekends, even on their vacations, you're emailing them, you're asking stuff from them. I've learned that when for people to be truly productive and creative, they need to have certain disconnect from work at certain periods of time.
Yeah.
And that's healthy. That's healthy. It reboots your brain. It makes you a better problem solver. It makes you more productive because you're rested.
Yeah.
And where do mistakes happen? Mistakes happen when people are exhausted. So these are some of the things that we're developing and we're selling here in the United States. These are the products that we're pushing here. We also have some team building products that are using improv techniques. So we're partnering with improv practitioners here in the United States to develop that. So it's a very exciting time actually.
Wow, Francis, until now, no, talagang everything is connected to how you're connecting. You're helping with the Filipino minds, also thinking na how we can include people. Hindi
Yeah.
yung every time is work, 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 because work-life balance is really important, especially
Mhm.
nowadays when sometimes you don't know na, especially if you're working from home, you don't know na if you're
Yeah.
extending too much. And if you're outside naman, there's so many things. Anyway, I will go back to you, Francis. Let me just introduce my second guest. Okay, thank you, Francis. Okay, so let me introduce first my, grabe no, simula pa lang pero si Francis talagang umaatikab muna. And honestly, I've learned so much from him. And if you are interested to learn some of the things that he talked about today, just contact him on the links that was provided in the comment section. Okay. Okay, for our next guest. Grabe, ano din to, excited din ako kasi when Francis was talking about, yung uh, parang yung orientation na parang we take care of the people, and we always think of their ano yung uh, how should I call it, yung ano nila, yung uh, how do you call it in ano in Tagalog, basta she will explain it to you better because she's our ano Stevie awardee for winning one of the the awards for great employer of the year. So our next guest is also a fellow freedompreneur. She has been working from home since she was 15, published her own book at 18, and became CEO at 20, and partnered up with her boss to start 2XU Executive Services at 23, and aims to help 10,000 entrepreneurs grow remotely and 1 million Filipinos to work from home. She's the CEO and co founder of 2XU, an outsourcing company that specializes in hiring, managing, and growing remote executive assistants for solopreneurs and small business owners, and the recent winner of Stevie Awards for 2021, one of the most prestigious business awards worldwide. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my good friend, a fellow freedompreneur, Miss Lian Lai Lacaba. Hi,
Hi.
Lian. Hi, Lian. How are you? How are you? She's streaming from Cebu.
Yes. Live from Cebu. Hi, everyone.
Oh my God. Lian is our virtual ate, while Francis is the unapologetic dude. Lian here is our virtual ate, the famous virtual ate in YouTube and TikTok. Thank you, Lian, for joining us. So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, let us know, Lian, what's your grind nowadays? Define us your grind, and yeah, just give us a glimpse of what's happening with Lian Lacaba these days. Go ahead, Lian.
So a lot. Like you said earlier, so I run an outsourcing company here in Cebu. It's all work from home, but then we also meet up at least once a month for to do live training and also to bond. So a lot of what we do is we kind of basically hire in entrepreneurs second. We call it second brain. That's why it's 2XU. So we hire their second brain. We train them. We get them up and running and basically becoming their operations person, and at the same time, like, we take care of their training, their, making sure that everything in the back end, their tools, the resources that they need, is taken care of. And of course, on the entrepreneur side, we also make sure to consult with them and make sure that, hey, you should just probably stop doing this one thing, or you're hurting your assistant, actually. And then a lot of what we do is we try to provide this just freedom and flexibility of being able to work anywhere, kind of like for me. So for me, like you said earlier, I did start working from home when I was 15 years old as a freelance writer, and that's been my life. I'm not 26. That's been my life ever since. So the different things that are keeping me busy are definitely my business. Also, like you said, virtual ate. I post videos about how to work from home, how to have a business from home on my YouTube channel. I have my TikTok, I have my Instagram, I have my Facebook, basically everywhere. Just because I'm passionate about this. Like, if
Yeah.
you know I realized that if my dad knew about being able to work from home when I was 15, when he was 15, like, he wouldn't have to leave the home to be an OFW for so long and have to only see us for about 3 to 4 times a year. So this is why I that's why I have the 10,000 entrepreneur and 1 million Filipinos working from home goal, just because of that. It fuels from that.
Oh, so that is why you're doing what you're doing. That's one of the purpose. Oh,
Mhm.
that's so cool, Ian. From a former overseas Filipino worker, that's really something. Giving opportunities to people, especially here in the Philippines, na they don't need to go outside the country, na, di
Mhm.
ba? And stay with their kids. And so, how
Yep.
do you do that? How does 2XU work? Can you give us a glimpse of the company?
So for 2XU itself, like the so kind of backtracking. So the on the helping people to just work from home, Filipinos to just not have to leave. A lot of what I do with that is the YouTube channel. Like I teach people like how do you get started, how to get a portfolio, how do if you want to become a virtual assistant, how do you become a virtual assistant. And at the same time, in that same YouTube channel, I'm also teaching entrepreneurs how to hire a virtual assistant, how to find how to know what the green flags or red flags are when they're hiring. So within 2XU, I kind of combine both of them together. So I train, I coach the executive assistants so they can show up in the best way, and they can also have that. And I really liked what Francis was saying earlier of making sure that they take care of themselves,
Yeah.
creating a culture where they want to work, and that's basically what we've been doing. That's why we were able to. I have it right here. That's why we were able to
Where is
win the
it?
award.
Yeah,
Right
that's
there.
right. That's right. Yeah, sourcing
Yeah.
Stevie's. So,
Um,
can you give us a glimpse? What glimpse?
mhm.
What is Stevie's? Basically, for those who doesn't have an idea.
So Stevie Awards was actually an awards that was actually just mentioned to us like off the cuff of like someone was like, oh yeah, the Stevie Awards are open, and I'm like, wait, they're open. So basically, before I entered, I knew about Stevie Awards mostly because of other people that I looked up to, who had it. So it's a very like I said, it's a very prestigious business award. We just had the awards ceremony about 3 days ago in Las Vegas. It's all virtual because it's all online. And it was funny, most of our competitors, direct competitors, were like Upwork and Globe and Union Bank, and we got second place for
Oh,
best
congratulations!
employers. So it was basically just it was a risk that we had to take because it was putting our business out there, and being judged, and that's why I also went into becoming a judge myself, so I know like the behind the scenes stuff. So I now know a lot of behind the scenes stuff about the awards. But it says basically that someone just mentioned it off the cuff. It was open. I knew about it, so I entered it.
Wow, and congratulations for winning the best employer, right? Best
Yeah,
employer,
thank you.
second silver for best employer award. That's the word that I was like trying to find before when I was introducing you. The people first, the
Yes.
idea of giving some time to your people and not sacrificing so much just for the profit. And that's what
Mhm.
Francis, I think, is developing also in US. So I think that's the reason why I'm thinking na talaga both of you when we later, no, when we talk and discuss things together, because both of you are travelers, international speakers, authors. Parang sabi ko, Dian and Francis should be in my show. And now I realize that both of you pa are focusing on helping people have a more work life balance, right?
Balance, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Leanne, how's Tom? By the way, Tom is because Leanne was our host before for Freedom Summit 2, but on our first Freedom Summit live events and going around Southeast Asia, she was with Tom. How's Tom? Hi, Tom Tate.
I was actually, like I said, right before this, I was playing a Dungeons and Dragons game, and he was there. So he's
I
doing
was
good. He
there.
actually just came from Nevada actually just last week. So he's been doing really good.
Yeah, because both Tian and Tom also spoke around Southeast Asia with us, and yeah,
Mhm.
their talk talaga. Most of the people are signing up for their for their packages and programs, so that's why we're very thankful that Lian also joined this year. And in line with that, me and Lian will have a show for Fireside Talks, which is all about fading forward. And Lian, before we go on to a break, can you give us an idea? Because when I had an event with you in Story Nights Manila with Fabio, you spoke about something regard because now it's still November, and the typhoon Yolanda was
Mhm.
something that's it's like something that's very like a milestone or something. It's very important part of your life. Can you give us some idea how you were able to rise above that challenge, Dia?
So Typhoon Yolanda, which it's been 8 years now since that happened. A big part of what that was of how that changed me and the things how I look at life basically is I was basically about to die. I knew it was like that moment of like I knew that the water was rising. It was right almost into my mouth. I was a little bit trapped where I was at because like our furniture was floating towards me. So there was like in my head. There was no way out. And I had that, people say your life flashes before your eyes before you die. Mine flashed forward, and the plan of me and my mom at that time was me becoming a lawyer, and then actually becoming an OFW myself. That was actually our plan. And I looked at that plan and I hated it. I felt that anger a little bit, and I had a little bit of a hate. And I made that decision of like, every single moment after this, if I survive this, I'm going to consciously make the choice. And basically since then, that's why I moved to 6 months later, I moved to Cebu City on my own. I
Yeah.
then started working for this US publishing company. Every opportunity that I had a really good feeling about, I would say yes to. That's how I became CEO at 20 years old. That's how I started to XU. Is every single opportunity that now started popping up in my life, I would recognize it and then say yes to it. That's why I did Freedom Summit, even though I had no prior actual experience in speaking in public. Said yes to going to Manila, Singapore, and Malaysia just because it felt really good. And then, of course, I'm not sure if you know this, Celia, but like we actually got our first client from 2XU Services from the Singapore event. Like someone approached us and said, "I like what you guys said. Can you just do this for me?" And we're like, yes. So
Yes.
that's kind of how something so dark as almost passing away, is almost dying. I turned it around of like every single moment of my life since then has been a conscious choice towards what is something that I want, instead of just letting my life be something that I live passively.
Wow, you just flipped the story, right?
Yes.
Just
Yes.
it's a very very good example of it's not actually failing forward, but it's moving on to a better life.
Mhm.
The good thing about what happened to you is that you didn't look at the what happened to me, what will happen to me. You nag-flash forward, ang nag-flash sa'yo yung future eh. You
Mm.
realize, I don't want this, and I'm going to say
Yep.
yes to whatever. And I think that's very important. It's also going to connect to our conversations later with Francis, who inspired me to be a public speaker also when I was attending his event. So anyway,
Mhm.
we will have a short ad break. But when we come back, we are going to talk about your travels, about how you transition also from being publisher, from being then now CEO, and public what's this international speaker. So there's so many things that we want to talk about so that we can also inspire others who are listening to our podcast, to our or watching our YouTube and our Facebook now live, on how they can try to, some of them kasi in corporate, 'di ba? Tapos some of them are overseas Filipino workers who got laid off or who just realized they wanted to go home na lang. What are the things that
Mhm.
they can do? So those are the
Yeah.
things that we will be talking about later. But for now, let's give some few reminders from our sponsors. Okay, so let me just give you a very, very short ad break for our sponsors who are supporting our Business Brews and Beyond to give us a better show every time we face our viewers. Okay, so go ahead and yeah, let's thank our sponsors. And we're back. Thank you to our sponsors who's been helping us and supporting us for how many episodes now. Thank you very much. And for those who are interested to sponsor our show, please contact or email now at thenewchannel.com or send us a DM because these life-changing shows are made all for you. So let me just give you some few more announcements from TNC. TNC is a live stream platform of online shows for people on the go. Please watch all the shows as seen on the screen. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content, but we make it easier for you. TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our vision is to become a global 24/7 live stream channel that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. So watch Business Brews and Beyond every Saturday, Sabado nights yan, 8:30 p.m. You can also watch us live and with our replays through Facebook and YouTube. Follow us on IG and listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC now. So, like what you've heard so far, make sure that you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button on YouTube. And this show is made possible by podcast listeners, YouTube and Facebook viewers like you, and we would really like to thank you for your support. So now let's go back to the show. Oh, but wait, let me just say, it's how many days to go till Christmas, Direct? Oh, it's 35 days to go. 35 days to go. Merry Christmas, everyone. Malapit na. Here in the Philippines, medyo, mahaba ang ating, ang celebration ng Pasko. So, I would like to, call back again our guest, our very, very inspiring guest, the virtual ate and unapologetic dude. Yes, yon. Thank you, Francis and Diane for joining us. And yeah, I was asking Prod a while ago because during your talks, I always uh, see you or listen to your stories on your travels, your adventures. So, Francis, can you give us an idea why travel became so influential also with because when we started, even your workshops has passports pa eh.
Mm.
It's so cool. So Dian and Francis, can you just give us because me from Freedom Summit, Digital Nomad Collective, I'm really interested how travel influence you to do what you're doing right now. Go ahead, Francis.
I guess for me, the most important thing that travel does is it really enriches your life beyond what money can provide. You know, it's one of those things that it's priceless. For me, ultimately, the joy of travel comes in acquiring experiences more than things. I think, there came a point in my life where I made a conscious decision that if I'm going to acquire things, I'm going to acquire experiences because for me, experiences become part of who you are. So I really make it a point to go out of my way to travel, to see cultures, because you really learn so much from the differences of other people. If you're stuck in your own little echo chamber of your bubble of your own culture, you suddenly you detach yourself from the possibility of learning so many things from other people. You learn that people can think differently from you, and that's okay. That you can accept the differences of other people without judgment because they accept your differences without judgment. And
Very
for me, I
cool.
always encourage people to travel. Whether it doesn't even have to be internationally. It can be just within the Philippines, for example. Go visit different provinces. Go visit different places. Right now, I'm enjoying visiting different areas of the United States because different areas of the United States, people have different cultures as well. They have different types of food. It's always enriching. And and right now in today's fragmented world, travel plays a very important role in making us more empathetic and compassionate towards one another. The
Yeah,
problem
true.
is when we just surround ourselves with our own bubble, we tend to be judgmental towards people who don't belong to that bubble. But
Yes.
travel is like a hammer which mashes open that bubble and makes you realize hey, get out of yourself. There's a world outside you. There's a world that doesn't necessarily believe what you believe. There's a world that behaves in a different way from you, and that's okay. And you have to be okay with that, just as they're okay with your presence. So there.
Very true.
That's the
Very
reason why
true.
I love travel.
Yeah. You, Lian, what's the reason why you love to travel? Traveling pygmy diaries, right?
Yeah.
That's what I always follow when you're posting your IG photos, and because of the travels. And yeah. I think Francis nailed it. No, what he said about us being more emphatic. There's something talaga when we travel. We realize that hindi lang pala yon, no, hindi lang pala this
Mhm.
culture ang dapat
Mhm.
nating understand, and it gives us, tama, it smashes or talaga something of a bubble. With you, Lian, what's your take on that?
I love that actually. That's one of the reasons why I travel as well. But I really started when I was my mom had the travel bug like really really bad. Like that was the way that we bonded. That was the way that we always took family trips. We always did things together. And like sadly when she passed away this May, last May, that was one of the things that I will always carry. Is I always have I'll have her travel bug for the rest of my life. So for me, like travel is such a way for me to relax. Like I'm actually going to the beach tomorrow for 1 week for Tumalboals in here in Cebu for a week, just on my own, because now it's become like a very personal thing. It's like it's I like taking solo trips. I like doing things on my own, mostly because and I have been described this. I can be an energizer bunny when I'm traveling, so I'll have like itinerary 7 a.m. We're doing this, 8 o'clock this, and 9 o'clock this. So I'll do that, and then there will be days where like there's nothing because I just want to get lost. I want to do the touristy stuff first, and then I want to get lost. So that's for me, traveling is so therapeutic. Like I can remember different times of my life where I'm really struggling and I would just travel, and then I can have ideas and ideas because it takes me, kind of like Francis said, it takes me out of my bubble. It takes me out of, and sometimes especially as an entrepreneur, we feel like we're just in this really small
Yeah.
space, but then when we travel we get to see like, oh yeah, this one thing, like, oh, this tendera right here is doing this one thing to advertise her business. That's how she's winning. I'm like, oh, maybe I can do that for my own, or like things I've learned from other people as well. Like one of my favorite memories is always going to be Freedom Summit, just because it was so intensive of that like week and a half of traveling to Manila, to Malaysia, and then doing a speech in Malaysia, the next day doing a speech in Singapore. That was so fun for me. That was that I whenever people ask me what's the craziest thing you've done, I always say that. I'm like, yeah, I ended up talking to like 600 to 900 people in like, the audience because of that one trip. And that changed me so much of like knowing what my limits are. That's the biggest thing. Is like at one point I was traveling in Taiwan alone, and I got on the wrong train. That's my favorite thing. Like I got on the wrong train. I was having a panic attack in the train. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get lost. But then I found out like, no, it's fine. It happens a lot actually. You can just get on like this other train and you can go get to your destination. I'm like, okay. So it's just finding my limits, breaking my limits. It's also learning a lot from different people. It's also getting that macro point of view of like, no, you're fine. It's not this bubble. You can get out and you can expand it, or like with friends, I like his metaphor of actually breaking it. So yeah, that's why
Yeah,
I love to travel.
yeah. Grabe,
I mean,
no? Very, almost same eh. Yeah,
yeah, and
Francis.
I just wanted to add to what Leon said when the idea of getting, riding the wrong train. For me, getting lost is part of the joy of the traveling
Yeah.
experience. And again,
Yeah.
that's another thing that can be parallel to our journey as entrepreneurs. That there are occasions we're
Hmm.
gonna get lost. We're gonna board
Yep.
the wrong train. We're gonna
Yeah.
turn left when we should have turned right, right? But travel,
Hmm.
at first, of course, you'll panic. The first time that happens to you, you'll panic. But as you become more
Hmm.
experienced in the art of traveling, you just learn to shrug it off and try to figure
Crush it.
out,
Yep.
okay, I was brought to this wrong destination. What can I see or
What
discover
do I
in
want to
this
do
wrong
next? Yep.
destination?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's part of the no, the adventure talaga eh.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Sometimes
definitely, definitely.
hindi yun yung parang, oh, nawala ako. Paano na?
Oh,
And
cry.
usually,
Ooh, no.
Yeah. It's also
Pangit cry.
it's a choice of like what they want to choose after you got lost. Like, do you
Yeah.
continue being lost, or do you redirect yourself and choose where you want to go next?
Mm.
yes, wow, that's very inspiring for people. Ako, I started traveling. Siguro the reason I also enjoyed Freedom Summit because that was like 6 countries kasi you stopped at Singapore, right? I
Singapore, yeah.
continued pa to Chiang Mai, to Bali, to Saigon. And the reason why I had that idea naman to do that is because of Francis mga travel photos when he was talking during our workshop. It was like, ang sarap naman nun. He was traveling all around. Tapos, minsan may mga workshop siya na para sa ganito, para sa ganyan, no? For a travel, for something. And I realized those are the things that us entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs, parang we have to find reasons, di ba, for us to work more or grind more
Mm.
or hustle more or something. But traveling is something that makes me feel na parang hindi mo mababayaran ng money talaga.
Mhm.
The experience, grabe, no? When you meet people and you get to, to experience their culture, it's something that usually, talaga parang it gives you, a different country gives you different perspective. Tapos it creates something, no? Add something sa shape mo of how you're thinking. Anyway, so, because you're all used to traveling and working on the digital in different digital platforms, and hindi naman kayo talaga na stuck sa how are you, what can you um give as a parang tip or something of an advice to people who are, trying to do the same, because most of them are, yeah, coming from corporate, tapos now working from home, tapos some are setting up their business or trying to hone a skill, di ba? So, is there any advice that you can give for those who are just starting right now? Some of the viewers would really want to know how you really transitioned or started things that you're now thriving with the business that you're doing right now. Francis?
So I guess, if starting a new work from home, you're your own entrepreneur, you're your own boss business is really terrifying at the beginning. And part of the journey is really learning to be comfortable to embrace that terror. And I use the word terror, not even fear, because it's really scary when you jump off from a comfortable 9 to 5 life where you're earning X number of money, and that money comes like clockwork on the 15th and the 30th. And suddenly you don't know where you're going to get your next meal. So the terror is part of that. You have to be comfortable with embracing the terror. But at the same time, you have to be, you have to believe in what you are capable of giving. In what you're capable of giving. Because I think that certainty of your ability to be able to serve people, that's what will attract the clients. I remember it was so funny because um, after I retired from advertising, from full-time advertising work, I spent like 3 months soul searching. That was like my longest vacation in my life. Like I traveled for 3 months. I went to Australia, New Zealand, Colombia. I really I made the Miss Universe tour. and and of course, the tour has to end. I mean, I had tons of savings, but of course, we don't want to spend them all, right? So I had set a limit that if I burn this amount of money, after that, time to go home and work, right? So I went back home, and when I was on the plane, I had that existential panic attack when I saw the international dateline. The plane crossed over from the U.S. to the Philippine to the international dateline, and I had this existential panic that, oh shit, I'm going back to the Philippines unemployed, right? And you know what? But I said, okay, no, you gotta be comfortable with this. You knew this, you decided this. I landed. The first order of business, get a haircut because it's expensive to get a haircut here. So I got a haircut. I was in the barber shop. While I was in the barber shop, a friend of mine connected to me, asked me if I was available to speak in an event that they're doing. And just like that, I booked my first paid gig. Within a few hours of me landing, without me even looking for it, it just came. So
Yeah.
it tells me that, okay, you have to be comfortable with the fear, but you also have to believe what you're capable of doing, because that's what will attract the right clients to you. So that's one thing. The second thing is spend time to map out your business plan, because the success doesn't come accidentally. It comes from planning. And in my case, I had to map out what were the products I was going to be selling, which for me were my certain talks and seminars. And I had to reach out to my networks and really ask them, do you need help? Talagang maglalako ka. You're going to knock on doors. You're going to do the salesman route. Things that you didn't have to do before, you have to do them. So make your business plan ready. Connect that with your contacts and then see where it goes from there. Your first clients are going to be your friends, your contacts. And then from there, if you do a good job, word of mouth will do the rest.
Wow. Honestly, I've also heard your story like that when you were telling that to us, and that also inspired us. Yung feeling na parang, shucks, magbabalik ako sa Pilipinas, wala akong trabaho, what will I do?
Mhm.
And then you automatically got something. It's more of like, kasi what you can deliver, diba? And having that thing in your mind na, sige, I'll do this and all. And from that point, parang almost so many people na invited you, and yeah, tuloy-tuloy na. And now look at what you're doing there in the US. So, Leanne, I have a different question for you. Can I ask, what is the essential skill when running a business online? Because this is what you always talk about when you're having your YouTube, diba? Talks at Virtual Ate. What are the essential skills when running a business online? Virtual Ate. You're on mute, Leanne.
Sorry, there's just a little bit of background music, so I even forgot that I was muted. So the main skill that I always talk about for both entrepreneurs and actually also freelancers is communication skill. That's the main one. Like a lot of the time, like the problems that people have online, like a lot of, because I hear it all the time, sadly, with me as the person who's handling like the clients of like, oh, Filipinos are this, Filipinos are that. I'm like, no, just talk to them. Like just give them like feedback, or tell them that this is what you're feeling or you're going through. Like that's why, like for me, like the biggest value that we bring as a company is we become that translator of like, if the Filipino is too shy to tell their employer that one thing that actually messes them up, then I tell them, or vice versa. Like if they don't know how to communicate it to their assistant, then we communicate it to them. But that's like, if without us, like you need to have that communication of learning how to, like I said, give feedback, learning how to communicate your ideas and your goals, because that's the fastest way that you can grow your business, is if you're able to effectively communicate what your goal
Yeah.
is, because then the employees are then always like thinking about it, like, okay, how can we get this, like knowing that this is the goal for the company. Of course, if you treat your employees right, then they'll start thinking about this way. And
Yeah.
it always works like I've seen it happen like 100% of the time. Whenever there's that click that happens, that I see a lot with our clients, where they're like, oh, this person, I don't like this person, I don't like this assistant, like, and then it's like a switch of like, oh, this person's amazing, they're making up ideas for my business. And it's that switch of like being able to actually finally learn how to communicate with them, being able to finally learn, oh, this is what triggers them, this is, what will help them, this is what will help motivate them. Because I've always believed that leaders, our responsibility is not to motivate people, it's to inspire them to motivate themselves. So like communication, being able to share your ideas, share your passion also, like that's why I love doing these talks, like because then I'm sharing my passion with other people. And I know for our assistants who are watching, then they know that I'm talking about this passion, that this is something that I really want you guys to understand, this is like the main idea that I want you to get. So that's me communicating to people all the time. So that's the main skill. If you could learn as you're getting started online, digitally, hiring people, working with people online, communication skills is just a top must, over anything almost, just because then you're learning also as you're talking to someone.
Wow. That was a real good point, Leanne, because it's one of the most important thing that we have to develop also is the how we communicate with our clients, with our, the people who is within our community or within our business. So Francis, with you, you're also in line with skills, and because of Skills Simplified, what are the skills that you think is the most important to learn these days, especially like now when everyone is stuck in their home or still pivoting from whatever it is that they use the usual for them. What's the most how should you call it, yung mga blockbuster skill ba?
So I guess, especially here in the United States, one of the most important skills that we want to teach people is really the skill of empathy, the ability to empathize with other people and understand what other people are going through. Because, here, when you think about business, a lot of it becomes very self-centered. The idea that how can we earn money, how can we be profitable, that we tend to forget who our consumers are, who our people are. So empathy is one very important skill that we need, especially in the COVID pandemic, when we realize that, if we are individualistic, we wind up screwing ourselves up as a society. But the COVID pandemic made us realize that we depend on one another. We have to protect one another. We have to support one another. And empathy is a great way to do that. The other skill that I'm such a strong advocate of is really the idea of improvisational thinking and behavior. The idea of that this pandemic changes so many things at the snap of a finger. And we've all experienced this. We woke up one morning, our world has been changed, right?
Yes.
And if you're stuck in the rut, if you are unable to suddenly turn on a switch and say, okay, I need to change things based on the circumstance that I have, then you're gonna die. Your business is gonna die. And many companies, that's what spelled the difference between companies who died during the pandemic and companies who actually became better during the
Yes.
pandemic. It's your ability to pivot out of that. But that takes improvisational thinking. I categorize people as two things. There are what we call barcos or ships, and there are those that are airplanes. So airplane people, when they need to pivot, they pivot. Ships are people who need 1-degree course corrections. It's like it takes forever for you to pivot. And certain companies are like that as well. You can't, when you do this to a ship, the entire ship will turn around.
Yeah.
They're not prepared for that rapid change. So the ability to improvise and identify changes immediately, implement it and embrace it with an open mind.
Wow.
That's an important skill. So that's the second skill. The third skill is learning from mistakes, because many people, we might think that, learning from mistakes, that's a skill. We need to learn how to learn from failure. Because what happens for many people, they don't learn it. So when they fail, they quit. Or they cry and they quit. But the reality is that if we have this mindset, this very clear skill set that I will look out for mistakes and I will figure out what's the best damn thing I can learn from this mistake, then voila, you've got it made. So those are the top 3 things that I would encourage. My blockbuster skills for 2022.
Wow, grabe. That's very important. That's very important. Things that sometimes hindi natin, we're not even thinking na that's a skill pala, no, that we have to hone or we have to but because of what happened with the changing times with this pandemic, all of us suddenly have to parang bilisan natin mag-isip. We have to embrace diba? The idea na we have to be more agile. Diba?
Yeah.
We have to make sure na hindi tayo may iwan because the moment will just pass us by. Yun yung point eh. Actually, another reference to that is the Ready, Fire, Aim, Francis eh.
Yes, Ready, Fire, Aim.
Ready, Fire, Aim. Although planning is very important, but also you have to understand that with calculated risk, dapat ready tayo, diba? Ready tayo to check and know kung ano yung mga things that we can also do. So now, ang bilis ng oras. It's 9:25 na. I want to ask both of you a word for tonight that you can leave for our audience, because most of them, I hope for those who are watching, you can connect with Francis and Dian if there's anything that you would want to connect or ask them. The details are on the comment box. And if you can leave us a word for tonight. Dian, can you give us a word for tonight that we can share and give to our audience right now for Business Brews and Beyond?
Mine is always passion. That's always my favorite word for anything. Like my that's literally the driving force of my life is I will follow anything that I like and I love, and that's how I've gotten this far at 26. So that's my word. Like when you ask me, that's the first word that popped in my head. Passion.
Yeah, with Leah, no, parang nginig tayo whenever she speaks. That's how she is. When I travel around, talagang parang every time that she's a fireball of some sorts. Hindi talaga, passion. That's the perfect word for you, Leanne. Francis, how about you, the unapologetic dude? What's your word for tonight?
So people would expect I would say unapologetic, but since the pandemic, one of the things the most important word for me would be the word of empathy. Really,
Yeah.
that's a skill that many people need to really cultivate and learn. We become powerful when we become empathetic, when we understand where the other side is coming from. It helps us in many things. It helps us in our personal life. We prevent misunderstanding and grudges because we try to
Mhm.
understand where the person is coming from. It helps us in our business life because we understand where our customers are coming from. We understand where our employees are coming from. But
Oh yeah.
ultimately, it also helps us in our life because it's what allows us to balance our passion with our growth. The idea that I want to do something, and how can I learn to see the point of view of another person and balance that out?
Yeah.
Especially in today's world, we're living in a very politically charged, politically divided world. There in the United States, here in the United States, there in the Philippines, everyone's politically charged, and that comes from us really refusing to be empathetic. We refuse to try to
True.
understand and see
Very
where the
true.
other person is coming from. And if we want to make this world better, then it starts with that.
Wow. Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Leanne, for a very, very inspiring and insightful interview episode for today. I was, before doing this interview, excited na ako eh. Sobrang excited ako. I was like, thinking what to ask. But talaga magpo-flow, no? Because both of you are very passionate about what you're doing. So anyway, if there's anything that you want to promote, Leanne, let's start with you. If there's anything that you want to promote it now. And yeah, have our, because most of our shows are being replayed also, especially on podcast. Yeah, give us what is happening to you this coming months.
So for me, just the quickest way to find like a lot of my content is just my YouTube channel. I it's where I pour a lot of my heart and soul into, and it's also one of the fastest way that I learn myself is the content that I put up. So if you guys go to youtube.com/Lai Lacaba, VA as in virtual ate, that's where you'll find like a lot of the content about being a virtual assistant, also hiring a virtual assistant. So that's like the basics for everyone. I also put in a lot of career tips, a lot of different ways that you can grow yourself. So like the video that I'm coming out tomorrow is like the courses and books that you should study as a virtual assistant. It's a lot of it is self-development and business books. And of course for my own company, if you're on the other side and you're looking for a virtual assistant or executive assistant, it's 2xu.com. And it's our my baby and our services. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Leanne. How about you, Francis?
So if you are looking on the other hand for training, for corporate training, inspirational speaking. So we have a company called skills-simplified.com. So you can visit us in skills.simplified.com. So we have amazing speakers, we have amazing trainers, we have very successful programs on improvisational thinking. We have successful programs on the culture of empathy. We have change management, creativity programs. So visit us at skillsimplified.com. Get in touch with one of our team members from the United States. Don't worry, we have special Philippine pricing for our Filipino family members. So do get in touch with us, and we would love for you guys to. We would love to train you guys. We'd love to share exciting programs with you guys. We have so much to offer. So if your company is looking for that, by all means, visit us at skills-simplified.com.
Okay, thank you, Francis. Thank you, Leanne, for giving us, a glimpse of what's happening to your life right now, how you're thriving, how you can, also inspire people or our community who's watching right now, the Freedom Summit community, Connected Women community, FH Moms community, and the people who wants to understand how they can somehow thrive, or no, survive and thrive eventually in this very challenging time. So thank you, Francis and Leanne, and I hope I see you again soon for some of the events that
Definitely.
we will be offering for Freedom Summit community again. Okay, bye, Francis.
Thank
Bye,
Bye.
you.
Leanne. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us for that very no, napaka-powerful ng dalawa. They talk about passion as if talagang, grabe, mararamdaman mo passion nila, and both of them inspired me to just do what I want to do. in life, and especially Francis, because he's somehow a mentor in public speaking. When I was starting, I was really like going to him, asking so many things. And if you need to get some ideas on those types of mga trainings, yeah, improv and all, just you contact him on the links that was provided a while ago. And with Leanne, if you need if you want to hire virtual assistants, or if you just want to be trained, go to 2XU of Leanne. I would like to thank pala, somebody sent me a gift the other week. I met her in one of Francis Miranda's event. Imagine that, yung connection, no? And now she's big na. She's doing this Kalamansip from Jean. So please check it out. Kalamansip, ang sarap, grabe. And feeling ko, solve na yung aking daily dose of vitamin C. So, thank you, Kalamansip. And yeah, sinakto ko talaga na sa episode ni Francis, because you brew collaborations, you meet people, you connect, you collaborate with people without knowing na in the end pala, no, kayo rin yung magkikita. And yeah, thank you for the gift. And yeah, again, everyone, Kalamansip, check it out. Sobrang sarap. Tsaka ang laki, oh. Ang laki. Check their Shopee link, Kalamansip. Okay, and also check out this Brown Roots Creatives Business Brews and Beyonds pa rin, for your printing projects, printing requirements, mugs, shirts, and yeah, caps, and whatever you need for gifts this holidays, or for whatever occasions, personalized gifts. Just check out Brown Roots Creatives. And we also can help you with designs, events, for your company needs. And yeah, and we can also help you if you want to set up your own t-shirt business. We have t-shirt business in a box. Brown Roots Creatives can also help you from the design, from the drop shipping, from the packaging. No need to think of bulk machines and big inventories. Just message us at Brown Roots Creatives. We can help you. Let your shirt do the talking. So there. Thank you, everyone, for joining me again for another Saturday. This is a very, very inspiring Saturday for me, because other than the fact that both people are really good friends of mine, I know that you are inspired also with how they are thriving, and how they transitioned, and how they propel themselves, to a better level. Not thinking of pandemic and so many things that happened to them. So I hope it inspired you also. And for next week, we are going to have John Orania, Negosyo University founder. Mr. John Orania will be joining us, and Mr. Orly Darnala of Baybayin. They will talk about the future of work, and also some of the things that you need to know as a digital entrepreneur, digital professional, and how we can have an alternative lifestyle. So join us again next Saturday, 8:30 p.m., another Sabado night with Business Brews and Beyond at the new channel. So thank you again, and bye!